Hi there, and welcome back to More Precious Than Rubies, the podcast that celebrates faith, courage, and the power of women's stories. I'm Ariana, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. If you're new here, this podcast is all about stepping away from the negativity and chaos of the world and leaning into encouragement, truth, and hope. We focus on 3 core segments in these episodes. The first one's called What's Good, where we highlight uplifting news stories that prove kindness and courage are alive and well in this world. The second segment is called What's Her Story, a deep dive into the life of an inspiring woman who has made a difference in the world. And the last one is called What's Trending, a discussion on a relevant topic that's impacting women today. So today we're going to reflect on stories of kindness, talk about an incredible woman of faith who shaped modern Christian journalism, and dig deep into the importance of community and female friendships. Don't forget, if you love these conversations, be sure to follow More Precious Than Rubies on Instagram and TikTok for more encouragement throughout the week. And before we get started today, I just wanted to bring up a couple fun personal things that I wanted to talk about. First of all, please don't come for my bangs. If you know me or have seen me around for a while, you know that I got bangs, I think sometime last year. And I've actually been really good at cutting them myself. I haven't gone too crazy, but this time I did go a little crazy. I cut them a little short. So yes, I know they're shorter than normal. Please don't come for me in the comments. Next time I'm definitely going to go longer. I normally wet them and then I trim them straight across. And I've seen the twist trick where you twist them and then you cut the bottom. But I definitely went a little ham and cut them a little too short. So I know, and they'll grow. But the thing is, I know they'll grow back, which is why I got bangs in the first place and why that's not too scary to me, because I always have headbands, hats, clips. I've noticed, and I was talking to my friend about this, you don't really notice how fast your hair grows until you get bangs, because so quickly you start to be like, I just want to cut these off, because they start going in your eyes and they just start to not look right, like you can't get the right amount of volume in them. So I think I went a little ham on the bangs, but it's okay. They'll grow back. And then the second fun thing here, you may have noticed a new toy in my background. I have a few fun toys in my set that I just love and kind of have to do with photography and videography. I have my little Instax camera over there, and then I normally have my Canon camera up there. I just realized that I don't have it on the set because I used it to take photos at my college roommate's baby's birthday party this past weekend before I'm recording this. But you'll notice something with fun little lights over here. And if you're someone who knows audio recording or video recording, anything like that, this is the RODECaster Pro 2. I got this for Christmas, and it's an audio interface that allows me to connect my microphones to this here, and it allows me to adjust the volume, and I can use my headphones to monitor the audio as I make adjustments, and I can do very small things for my audio to make it sound cleaner right within this software here before I even send it into my recording software that I have off to the side here. When I first started my job at Sola Media, I did not know anything about audio recording or audio in general. And my boss, Aaron, who is in charge of recording all of our podcasts, and he's a really great audio editor, and he's also a musician, he's a rapper. He's taught me so much about audio recording and podcast recording. And so he let me have a Scarlett box, which is another type of audio interface, but you can't dial in the settings on it. It's just a box that sends the signal into a computer. And so this fun toy here, I got it for Christmas. Thanks, honey. Adam knew that since I was starting my podcast, he wanted to get me something that I could use to record and just have fun with. He loves tech, and we both love tech a lot. So he did research on it, and he got it for me. He also knows that I love Rode. Hey, Rode pod mic. And I have Rode microphones. And so I kind of already have a Rode setup going, and I just love them as a brand. And so he got me this beautiful interface that has fun little lights, and I can play sounds on it. Let's see if I can send a sound effect to it. It's saying it's loading. I don't know if it's doing anything, to be honest. If it did something, I will put it into the video. But anyways, it has fun buttons and sound effects that I can send straight into the recording. So like if I wanted to use my music in the recording, I could do that. Anyway, that's just me geeking out about my new toy that I got for Christmas. And so thank you for letting me get that out of my system. I'm very excited to continue to learn how to use it and play with it as I invite some more guests on and add some more microphones. So you'll see that in the background as we keep recording episodes. All right, let's dive into today's episode. Okay, today's What's Good segment. Today we're looking at 3 uplifting stories that remind us of the good in the world. So these articles are all from the Good News Network that I told you guys about last time, and all 3 of them are actually written by the same author, Andy Corbley. So if you want to read the rest of the articles, they will be linked in the show notes if you're interested. The first article is titled, "Bus Driver Saves the Day After Seeing a Boy Crying When He Forgot His Pajamas on Pajama Day." Oh my gosh. The picture in this article is so precious. I encourage you guys to go look at the picture in the article if you have time. So this story is about Larry Ferris Jr., who's a Kentucky school bus driver, and he went above and beyond when he noticed a boy was crying on the bus because he'd forgotten his pajamas on Pajama Day. After dropping Levi off, and without hesitation, the bus driver went to Family Dollar and he picked up a pair of pajamas before rushing back to Levi's school and surprising him in class. So the Today Show reported that Ferris Jr. had been both a truck driver and correctional officer, but he had found his calling with driving kids to school. So this story is a powerful reminder that small acts of kindness can turn someone's whole day around. Larry didn't have to stop. He could have just, let Levi go to school without his pajamas or thought it might be a character building exercise, but he chose to show love in action. This next article is titled, "New Deepfake Detector Inspects Pixels to Uncover Falsehoods on Your Phone Within 6 Seconds." So this is some exciting tech news. This is the first tech article that I've included. This is a Chinese smartphone manufacturer called Honor that's preparing to unveil a new deepfake detection software, and it's all about using AI to catch AI. So the software works by analyzing the millions of individual pixels on your phone screen to spot signs of deepfake manipulation, like face swaps or other AI-generated artifacts. And if you've been on social media, if you're chronically online like I am, you probably have started getting these weird AI videos, right? And most of the time you can tell if they are AI, mostly because the ones that are easiest to tell are the creepy ones, where like an animal turns into another animal or, a Disney character morphs into another Disney character. Those are the ones that I get on my feed. Adam gets these really weird, nightmarish ones, and he sends them to me all the time. And so those are obvious to tell, but you might have seen some deep fakes that have been popping up around where people are using computer stored files of faces and voices to turn into deep fakes that are actually pretty convincing. And so this is a pretty cool idea that can use AI to recognize the flaws created by AI, kind of like how someone who's good at a trick can spot it in someone else, like a magician. And the system looks for pixel level issues such as irregular border compositing and even strange facial features, things like mismatched face to ear ratios or unusual hairstyles. If you've ever been suspicious of a viral video, this is the kind of technology that could help you spot if it's real or not. And sometimes I've even been able to realize, honestly, I think before a lot of other people, especially when it's a face in video and the face is really small in the corner and they're using an AI voice, and if you squint you can see, well, the face isn't really lining up with the voice. And so this could be a technology I think especially useful for people who didn't grow up with this kind of thing, and it would be difficult to spot it, and it could be used as a manipulation tactic. This new feature is called GUI, for Graphic User Interface, and it will be part of the Honor Magic Pro 7 smartphone, which is expected to be showcased at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona next month. So this deepfake detection software works in just 6 seconds and gives you a percentage chance of whether what you're looking at might have been generated by AI. That's fast. Honor is entering a space where companies like Intel are also making strides in deepfake detection. Intel claims that they have up to 96% accuracy. So with deepfakes becoming more common, it's good to see companies are working on ways to help us tell what's real or not. And our last article for today is called Stunning Flower Fields in California Have Been Enchanting Tourists and Locals for Decades. So if you're a native to California like I am, then you probably know about the flower fields in Carlsbad Ranch. This 55-acre paradise is officially open for the season, and it's filled with stunning flowers. So if you guys are in California, you probably know about the recent rainstorms that we've been having, and I've been really excited to see how the rain would affect our nature and wildlife that's springing up for spring. And I can't even imagine how the flowers are going to look this year with this recent rain. For decades, these fields have been a favorite for locals and visitors, with acres and acres of ranunculus flowers, also known as Persian buttercups. These flowers are actually native to Turkey, and they come in just about every color you can imagine, thanks to the dedicated work of pioneer Edwin Frazee and other local growers. They've actually been cultivating these blooms along the California coast for over 100 years, and it's taken decades of careful horticulture to create this masterpiece that we get to enjoy today and every year. So from March through April, you can see these flowers in full bloom, and trust me, it's definitely worth a visit. If you haven't been to the Carlsbad flower fields already, you should definitely go and make it a date or a friend date. Admission is only $27 for adults, and you have 5 to 7 weeks to catch them at their peak growing. The fields are open every day from 9 to 6, so there's plenty of time to enjoy all that they have to offer. And it's not even just about the flowers either. There are so many fun activities for everyone to enjoy. There's a sweet pea maze, tractor rides, and even a sea of sunflowers. Plus, there's a really cool exhibit there where they grow a giant American flag made entirely of petunias. And it's so pretty and so fun to see. So for art lovers, there's a sculpture garden. And for all the parents out there, there's a butterfly encounter area and greenhouse displays of orchids and poinsettias. It's so beautiful. I've gone several times in my life, and I definitely recommend it to anybody. If you haven't even been there and you're a local to California, or if you're planning to be in the area, definitely take some time to stop by and see the beauty of these incredible flowers. It's the perfect way to spend a day outdoors, soaking in the colors, the scents, and the peaceful surroundings, and you're by the Carlsbad coast, so you can go to the beach after. Now it's time for our second segment, What's Her Story? And today we're going to be talking about Kathie Lee Gifford, a woman whose career spans decades in television journalism and entertainment, but whose influence reaches far beyond the spotlight. Kathie Lee has used her platform not only to entertain, but to advocate for faith, kindness, and the power of authenticity. Her journey is a beautiful example of how a woman can be bold in her beliefs, navigate personal challenges with grace, and continue to make a positive impact in the world. So Kathie Lee Gifford spent decades in mainstream media as a TV host, an actress, and producer, but she never compromised her faith in her work. As the co-host of Live with Regis and Kathie Lee, and later The Today Show, as you might remember her on, especially if you're my age, she used her platform to spread positivity, faith, and encouragement. So actually, she was one of the first journalists that I was drawn to when I was little, because I actually saw her openly discussing her faith on TV. I specifically remember during the week, if we had the day off of school, it was kind of a habit that my mom would normally drop us off at school and then come home and watch the Today Show with Kathie Lee Gifford and RODECaster. They were co-hosts at the time, and if I had off of school, I would kind of do my mom's day routine. So I would watch this show with her, and Kathie Lee Gifford was not only a captivating journalist, you know, her and Hoda would do these interviews with people at times, and yes, they were silly and funny, as you might have seen them made fun of on SNL sometimes, but they really did have serious interviews at times, and I thought she was an amazing interviewer. I find that anybody can have really good values, but I always was drawn to Kathie Lee Gifford's way of being sensitive to people who were going through hard times, and I just remember looking at her and saying to myself, I want to be like her someday. There would at times be moments where they would recommend books, and Kathie Lee Gifford would always choose a Christian book to talk about on the air, and I just thought that was really brave of her. And speaking of books, actually, she's also an author. She's produced several books that weave faith into everyday life. She's also actually releasing a new book that I find so interesting. I was on her website doing some research the other day, and her new book is called Herod and Mary. It's a nonfiction book discussing how King Herod came to power, how corruption and an ancient evil threatened the stability of a nation, and how a teenage Mary was called to traverse these obstacles to bring Jesus into the world. So the book is set to release in July of this year, and I actually think I might buy it and read it. As I've been doing these episodes of More Precious Than Rubies with guests, when I compare them to biblical figures, I have several books now. A couple have been donated to me by my grandma, and they've just been so interesting because most of the books that I've gotten have been about female Bible characters. And so there's something cool about reading an article online or reading a blog post from a Christian organization, but reading a deep dive into these Bible characters in a book has been really interesting for me. And I also love biblical nonfiction because I think it's a really cool way for us to get a really in-depth essence of a certain Bible character. Yes, in a fabricated way. You know, there are elements where the author has made up certain situations, so it's good to fact check certain things in your Bible. But I just think it's been a really interesting way to learn about certain Bible characters. So I definitely recommend you checking out that book that's going to be coming out in July. And speaking about this new book, in recent years, she's actually pivoted towards faith-based storytelling, producing biblical films and music projects that share the gospel in creative ways. And as I said before, Kathie Lee has spoken openly about how her faith sustained her through personal loss, including the passing of her husband, Frank Gifford. And I remember when she came on air and talked about her late husband. And again, just a completely inspiring moment for me who now would consider myself a journalist, just something to model my interview style and my care towards other people after. So again, Kathie Lee Gifford is one of my heroes, and she deeply inspired my passion for journalism. And her story reminds us that we don't have to separate faith from our work. So I want you to think about how can you integrate your faith into whatever field you're in, whether it's media, business, or the arts. I think for me, it's easy for me to say that I integrate faith into my everyday job because I work for a Christian nonprofit. I have worked in a secular environment, though, a very secular environment, and I found that there were ways to just allow people to know that there was something different about me. In next week's episode, we talked to Sarah Allen about how she's able to show her faith in her daily career. And she was mentioning something along the lines of, as long as I can show my morals and my values to other people by speaking kind words to them, being patient, not using harsh words, it's planting a seed of, why is this person talking like this? They don't talk like other people, or they don't act like other people that would be in the same situation. So I think that there are ways in which we can practice our faith in our daily life and our daily careers that will help to just plant a seed in people's minds. And our third topic for today is what's trending. And today I wanted to talk about the power of female relationships and community. Lately, I think that there's been a resurgence of conversations around the importance of female friendships. And it makes sense. Women are longing for connection now more than ever. But why is this topic trending? Well, I think that, again, I'm going to reference my being chronically online. As social media has pressed more and more into our lives, I think we can see the impact of it and really realizing how our friendships have been impacted by the space that social media creates in between us and our phones create in between us. I think that a lot of times we may view social media as a way to ease our friendships. You know, I think a lot of people think, oh, well, I'll just text them one day. But I think that, you know, as Rachel has discussed before, a previous guest on More Precious Than Rubies, she has anxiety. And a lot of times texting isn't an easy practice for her to keep up with people because sometimes it causes her anxiety to see the messages go up and knowing that she's not able to respond to them. I think that that can cause a lot of anxiety. But there are times where she craves in-person relationships with her friends. And I think that sometimes as we get older and we take on more responsibilities, whether it's a job, a husband, kids, I think that that can impact the way that we view our friendships. And especially too, if people are moving away to a new area because it's hard to afford a house here in California. So some of our friends may be moving away and, you know, we have to say goodbye to them sometimes in a way where we can't just see them tomorrow if we wanted to, unless we took a plane ride. So I think that there is definitely a call for a deepening of friendships that are more than just surface level on social media, there's definitely a loneliness epidemic happening. Have been studies that show that many adults, especially women, report feeling lonelier now than in previous decades. And if you remember my interview with Haley Goulet a couple weeks ago, she was talking about how when she moved to Washington, when she had just married her husband, she left behind a whole community of people. And that was really difficult for her because she found a deep community in these people that she grew up with in her school and her church. And it's been difficult for her to find a new group of people. But I think that that's deeply important for us to have. You know, scripture does call for us to live in community. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 says, "Two are better than one. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up." And there's even a healing power of friendship as well. More research suggests that strong friendships improve our mental health, lower stress, and even boost our physical health as well. And I think that a lot of you can agree with that, right? You know that if you've ever had to move away to, remember if you went away to college, that was really hard for me personally. I went away to a school that I didn't know anybody there. I think I knew one person. I think I knew my friend Sarah Core, but she had been going there for 2 years already. I was a transfer student. And so walking into an environment where I was walking into a Christian environment, but I didn't know anybody. And that was really intimidating for me because I am someone I would call myself an introvert. I have a low social battery. It runs out pretty quickly unless I'm with people that I'm really comfortable with, right? So it was kind of exhausting to think about making new friends in an environment where I didn't know anybody. But walking away from my APU experience, I walked away with some great friendships. I mean, my roommate is one of my best friends. And yes, we were together every day, but I'm so thankful for that opportunity to be in person with her. I think that, like I said, social media has created quite a distance from each other. And I'm grateful that I got to make so many friendships in person. I think that, yes, there is a great power to making friends even on social media. I think a lot of us have heard influencers talking about how they've found community in other influencers, even just on social media, and then they'll meet up with them in person sometimes. So I think that social media in a way helps to craft friendships, but there's a big power of female friendships in community with each other in person. And so if you're someone that is walking through a difficult season of loneliness, I really encourage you to reach out to even just the people that you are friends with if you've moved away back home. If you're in a church, getting involved in a small group, even though, like for me, like I said, I would find that difficult, right? Walking into a place where I don't know anybody. But I think that you'll find that it's often worth it. It may be hard the first couple times. Like Haley said in her interview, she cried before she went into her small group because she was so anxious about it. But she's walked away with some friendships that have gotten her through some really difficult times in her move and in her new job as well. I want to hear from you guys. What can we do to be more intentional about building deep, meaningful relationships? I think, like I said before, kind of forcing ourselves to come out of our own shell if we're someone who's shy, or taking a step away from our social media or our busy lives to really make an effort to visit our friends, see them in person, even maybe just call them up on the phone rather than texting with them or messaging them on Instagram. I've found that when I spend time in person with my friends, I leave on a high, right? I think that a lot of us can agree with that. When we hang out with a really good friend, we leave on a high. And so I think it's really worth it for us girls to make an effort to continue to make friendships and relationships with new people, but also continue to dig deeper into the friendships that we already have, because you may never know that the person on the other side of that friendship may really need us as much as we need them. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to thank you for joining me and being here with me today. It's so fun to talk to you all about fun things that are happening in the world and in my life personally. And if this episode has encouraged you, please share it with a friend. And make sure to follow More Precious Than Rubies on Instagram and TikTok for more faith-based inspiration throughout the week. Next week, I'll be sitting down with my friend Sarah Allen, as I mentioned. She's an artist who believes creativity can heal and inspire. You won't want to miss it. Until then, you're worth far more than rubies. Set about your work vigorously with arms strong for your tasks. Open your arms to the poor and extend your hands to the needy. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised.